if you're drifting away, then your priorities are going in a different direction.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that shit together real quick, there's going to be a problem. Because soon it's like, it's okay to sleep in different rooms. It's okay not to go on date nights. It's okay not to have sex. Because then once the kids are out, what do you have left? Hi, I'm Dave Tina.
And I'm Angie Tina.
Welcome to the 10-Year Marriage Podcast.
On this podcast, we answer the question, what if your marriage came with a 10-year contract?
How would you show up if there was a deadline in your relationship? What would your life look like in the future? And how would you recommit every day?
Come with us on this journey as we navigate as partners, entrepreneurs, and parents in this big life we've created.
This topic may trigger people as much as the one where if you share money or not in your relationship. And the thing that made me really think about it was just recently someone shared with me that her and her spouse sleep in different rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And my first judgmental thought was like, they're not having sex. There's problems in that relationship. How could you not sleep in the same room?
Yeah, I feel like that would be like it would be divorce if that was you and I. We would have major issues.
I mean, you were flirting with me the other day when we had a couple girls over for Lola's birthday, and what'd you say? You said we had a sleepover last night too.
Yeah. No,
right?
they all had their best friends over, and I was like, how fun. We got to sleep over with our best friend too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the conversation is, are you roommates or lovers? And one of the things I believe is when you start, I don't want to say throwing in the towel, but accepting things that maybe you wouldn't have accepted in the past, is sleeping in different rooms.
100%. I mean, that's never been on the table for us. And we've joked in the past, like if you've snored or if I'm sick or different things like that. But I mean,
even when we fight,
yeah,
you know how it's like, oh, I'm sleeping on the couch. I was like, I don't give a shit. Who's wrong? Who's right? I am not sleeping on the couch. I'm sleeping in my bed. Like that's like such a baby way to handle it. But I'm being very judgmental today. This is my true thoughts. Like
it is. And listen, like sleeping in different beds, in different rooms, there's so many different factors there, right? Like if somebody was a crazy snorer, like I could not sleep. You chew your gum in bed and it drives me out of my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
do
like,
it where it's just a piss you off.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's so crazy.
And you don't chew like a cat too?
I do, but not when I'm trying to sleep. Not when you're trying to sleep.
Sometimes I'm hungry at night and I'll just chew some gum before I go to bed.
And then my biggest fear is you accidentally falling out of your mouth when you're sleeping and getting in my hair.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Anyways, I think that there's a lot of factors when people are sleeping in different rooms, right? Like, and it's like, how does that decision come about with a couple? It's like, okay, you know.
But where does it end, right? Like, I remember when I was a kid, I was like, we're each going to have bedrooms with all our own shit in it so we could keep our identity. And then we'll have a room that we meet up and have sex in. And now I feel like it's more of like, I mean, not with us, but with people. You got the man cave, you got the she shed, right? All those things. I think it is important to have your own stuff. Mm-hmm. But like, this is the topic. Like, at what point does it get to, I guess we're just together because of financial reasons and the kids, and we're just roommates.
Yeah.
And so does it go to we both have our own rooms? Oh, this is Dave's room and this is Angie's room. And like, I don't know. I think that's ridiculous. And like, what's the point of being married?
I agree 100% on the sleeping arrangement. But there's also so many relationships where they're roommates and they do sleep in the same room. Fair. And they do sleep in the same bed. I mean, we've had bats of it in our relationship. And it's this whole like, you know, all of these things in life start to take over.
Is it make, to me, fine. There's been periods where it's like, we have this big bed, back to back, and you could, you know, drive a truck through the middle of the bed, right? We've been there. But do you think it's making it better or worse by not sleeping in the same bed?
I think it's definitely making it worse.
Exactly. So like the thing with any relationship that's not doing well or needs to be worked on, you need to get closer, not further apart. Right?
Yep.
And so this plays in so many parts of our life. Like, I've never been a huge golfer. I feel like a lot of my buddies, not my buddies, but a lot of people I know go to golf and make it a whole day affair to escape. Right? Because it's a long ass thing. Like, I don't want to escape my family. I want to hang out with my family. Right? And I'm not saying you shouldn't have hobbies and whatnot, but at what point is it?
You're almost living separate lives.
Yes.
And I think, there's relationships where, and I think it's probably a little bit more, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but I feel like from what I've seen is that relationships with no children, they tend to have more of a separate life, right? Like they travel kind of separately. Sometimes people live separately in different places, and then they come together, and there's very separate things that they're interested in, and work and goals and ideas and lifestyle. And I've seen that in married couples too, where it's very separate lives, but then they come together maybe for the kids or different things like that. But I think there's a lot to be like, there's so many different levels of what we're talking about, right? There's this like,
listen, to each their own. Mm-hmm. I mean, everyone does it differently. Some people like to, share their wives or husbands with other people, right? They swing.
Well, that's fair.
Like that's, I get it. How truly married and committed could you be? Like what's bringing you together? If your goal is to have a marriage that is continually growing and a soul connection with a soul contract where it's integrated in somewhat of a traditional sense of the word, then are these things helping you get to where you want to go?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so like, for instance, if we didn't have kids and we lived in two different places, we weren't even sleeping together. Like, I don't know, like what would, in my brain, I'd be like, well, what's the point of even being married?
Mm-hmm. That's the thing is, I think, what does it look like? It's like, it could be the sex life is dwindling. It could be that now you're only having conversations about business or about surface level things and you're not connecting. You're not dreaming together.
So people are just looking for companion. Like maybe we need to like go towards the first principles of this. Mm-hmm. What are people looking for in marriage? And then what would they be actually drifting away from? What do you think people are looking for in marriage?
Well, I can speak for personal.
Just generic and personal?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's different parts of your life, right? When you get older, you're probably looking for companionship, but...
Yeah. Well, I'm looking for companionship. I'm looking for somebody to build my life with, somebody to co-collaborate with, somebody to cry with, to laugh with, to be sexual with, to raise my kids with, to be an example for my children. Like those are my things that I'm like, that's why I choose to be married and not single. Because you could absolutely co-parent. You can absolutely have very separate lives and still come together with children. I've seen so many successful couples, do that. But for me, it's like the full unit. It's like I want to build life with somebody. I want to build my dreams with somebody. And I want, like we talked about yesterday with the sleepover, it's like, I literally thought about that. I was like, that's so fun. We actually got to have a sleepover too. We were laughing. We were watching our own show. We were hanging out like while they were, and we were looking at all these girls in our house. Like what did we get ourselves into? And it was an enjoyable night, So I think that a lot of people are looking for just their person. And the problem with the drift into roommates is that you may be with somebody, but you may still feel very, very alone in your relationship. And I know that we've gotten to that point. We've played with or tinkered on that point before when we're not feeling connected. And typically you can sense it and feel it before I can, because I'll be, super focused with work or really focused on something with the kids or something where it's distracting me and it's pulling my attention somewhere else. And you are the one that has to snap us out of it and be like, whoa. Like, feel like we're just roommates here. Like we need to go deeper. We need to actually have a conversation about this.
I think it comes to where you prioritize your life. And so in my brain, how you prioritize in order is a relationship you have with yourself first, right? Your sole purpose, that relationship for some with God is your relationship you have with yourself, right? An extension of that is, what is my purpose? So it's kind of like 1A and 1B, right? It's not selfish. It's more like self-interested or self-worth, right? Like, okay, I need to feel happy and faith with myself and joy and energy and energetically connected with me. And then when I have that relationship with that and I feel called to live my life a certain way, so then it's, my relationship with myself, my relationship with my purpose. And then after that is my queen. That's how I put it. Because my kids without my queen, it all starts with my marriage. Which it's like if 1A is with myself and in God and 1B is with purpose, like that cannot be, nothing can get in the way of that, right? I think when you live for your kids, over your purpose, your kids are also being set up for disaster. If you live for your wife or your husband more than your purpose, it's just not healthy. But if you do that right, and then 2A and 2B is like marriage and kids, to me, that's where it's at. So if that's the most important thing in my life, sharing this world, sharing my purpose, sharing this whole thing, like, then I should show up in that way where I'm spending the most time with my wife and my children. Why I can never understand if you're, especially in Vegas, like if you're at the video poker bar playing video poker and drinking, when you got a family back in your house, like, to me, that's unacceptable. Or if I'm spending more time with one of my friends or playing video games or doing things like or going hiking with a group and not including my family, then what am I committed to? What am I prioritizing? And so, of course, like everything else, it's a deeper conversation. So when I say like, well, this is the way I do marriage, like, to me, if your relationship with a significant other isn't right there in that prioritization, then to me, what's the point? Then you got the wrong person.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I mean, I agree with it. I feel like what does that look like for you as far as, your purpose and your relationship with yourself? Like, for me right now, it's a lot of the horse, right? And so when you're talking about golfing or doing these things, I'm spending time with my horse, and the kids don't really want to do it. You're kind of into it, kind of not. And we also need somebody with the kids. So I think it's important to have those things that you can do with yourself and have those girls trips and have those guy friends and have those other connections. But like you said, like, if I'm looking at my life in the direction I want it to go,
that's healthy. It's not really getting in the way.
Right. That's fair.
Of our relationship or your relationship with the girls.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that most of the time, like, when I look at like my future, whether it's philanthropy work or a hobby or whatever, I am trying to be like, how do I incorporate my family into this? How do I incorporate my spouse into this? And if it's not something that you're interested in, it's not something I'm willing to fully commit to. It's something I can play with and I can experience, but I'm not like making it my life's mission at that point.
What if I got this offer to be this coach that I had to be on the road for half the year, gone like 2 or 3 nights a week, making a ton of money and living my purpose? How would that make you feel?
That would be interesting. It would really test our relationship because we would have to prioritize our own connection and our own rituals and our own, like trips with each other and date nights. And you would have to, it would be a lot.
Is that the vanilla answer? Because I feel like the real answer is not what you said, because we've talked about this before and that's not what you said.
What have I said? You
were like, that would not work for me, or we would be going with you.
Well, yeah.
I know, but why didn't you just say that?
Well, I don't know, because I'm trying to think about it on the spot. Like, I'm trying to think of it like, if that was the case, and that would be the thing, like, part of the solution for us would we would be traveling with you a lot, Yeah,
and for me, I wouldn't want it.
But what if it was, that's the thing, is it's there's so much gray, right? Like,
I totally agree. There is a ton of gray. It depends on where you're going and how much money you're making, and do you have a private jet, and can you bring the kids with you? There are so many things.
Not just that, but what about just the pure, like, babe, I have to do this because it's something I am so called to, and I live this one life and I have to do something like this. And if I don't, I'm always going to regret it. Like, if that was something on the table for you, I'd have to figure out a way to support that.
And that is where I would be like, there's no point in trying to make impact on the world, showing up and being there for all these people, if I can't do it for my kids and for my wife. My purpose is to do a certain thing, but I think there's nothing sadder than a life coach or a guru or someone like that has kids that are dying for their attention.
Their own attention, yeah. Or a spouse that's completely just dying inside and feeling so completely alone.
I mean, look at Tom Brady.
I know nothing about Tom Brady, but...
So Tom Brady got older and older and older, and he had done everything you could possibly do. Won more Super Bowls than anyone, and he was going to retire like multiple years. Goes from the Patriots to the Buccaneers and wins another Super Bowl with another coach and another team, to prove even that he didn't even have to do it just with them, with the coach and the team, right? Could have easily retired right then and there. Doesn't. Comes back, has like a year. They make the playoffs, they lose, and he retires. He wasn't retired for maybe 100 days, 40 days. He was like, I'm coming back. And Giselle, she just wanted to be with him. And that last year, they had tons of problems. Comes out that she ended up having an affair with her trainer, and they got divorced. So the guy who had everything followed his purpose, his passion, and everything. And he could
sacrificed his marriage.
Yeah, which is, to me, it's like, all right, well, was it worth it chasing that thing that is insatiable? And so I just don't think you're going to have the marriage you want unless you spend time with the person you want to have that great marriage with.
Mm-hmm. And you're talking about it on a business or purpose stance. Like, I think this is happening just by day to day, like by distractions and by too many kids events and too many commitments. And, you know, like, it's like this drift into this, like, oh, now we're roommates because we're so distracted by all these outer distractions and things that we're committing to. And yet we don't have time. We don't find the space or the time or the energy to actually connect with each other. And it's like, how long has it been? Like you asked the question earlier, like, how long has it been since you've made out with your wife?
Yes, that's right. I was going to do a video about that.
How long has it been since you had a longer than 5-second kiss, right? Or like actually cuddled before you just have sex? Like, there's so much of this stuff that...
Guys, it's a good move. Make out with your wife a bunch of times and then don't ask for anything else.
Yeah. I mean, like, you don't do that very often.
What? I've been making out with you a lot, though, and not asking.
Well, that's fair.
You got to play cat and mouse, right? But it's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, making out is definitely a good one.
Yeah.
How long has it, the easy one is how long you've had sex, right? We had that conversation last time. The reason why the conversation of the drift in a normal relationship doesn't really talk to me is because if you're drifting in your relationship, you're probably drifting in most areas of your life or some areas of your life, right? Like, if you have a high standard, it usually goes across.
Maybe not, though, because maybe people are giving something so much energy, whether it's their health or their business or something else, and they're thriving in that thing. But because it's getting all of their attention, unfortunately, this other relationship is suffering from it. And it's like, how many people aren't speaking up and being like, hey, I feel alone. I feel really lonely in this relationship. Like, let's talk about it. What can we do? Well,
I mean, I think there's a difference between having a high standard and not meeting that standard. Like, if my body isn't exactly the way I want it to be, I still have that standard.
Yeah.
I still am like, in my brain, I'm like, I got to take care of this. I think it's really hard to have hugely great results in one area of life and not want them in all areas. Mm-hmm. Right? So, okay, then let's jump in then. And what are some of the signs? They're just so obvious to me, but what are some of the signs? Then you're in the drift and you're becoming roommates.
I think it's you're only talking about your kids or your work or the day-to-day chores or whatever you have to do. That's one huge thing. I think the other one is very physical, right? You might not be feeling intimate, or when you are feeling intimate, you're not really like in the experience. You're kind of just checking it off a box, being like, all right, well, we have to have sex, so here we go, I think the other one is being completely and utterly distracted, like on your phone or on social media or in some other thing that you're interested in.
Pretty much like describing like 99% of the population.
Well, that's why I think it's such an interesting topic. It's because if you let these things happen and you just don't address it, like, and snap out of it and break the pattern, like, it's inevitable that you'll just become roommates. I don't think there's a single couple out there that this doesn't affect at some point in their relationship, or that they have to kind of fight with it at one point or another, or continue to show up. I think the better question is, how do you come back from those things, right? Like, what are you doing to reconnect? What are you doing to come back to being spouses and being intimate and being passionate about each other? And that's a lot of the stuff we talk about with like the 10-year marriage. I mean,
to me, it's a standards conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And my answer is always somewhat similar. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to start with you.
Yeah.
Because if you're excited about life and you're full of passion and purpose and you're like in flow, mm-hmm. you're going to want to share it with another person, and you're going to want to like energetically transfer that, whether it be just spending time or going on vacations or intimately. Like, it's almost impossible not to have that aura or presence about you if you're working on yourself. So It's hard to drift And in that case, if your standards are going on and you're holding yourself accountable, there's no way that you're not going to start going, wait a minute, like, A, how can I show up better in this relationship? And B, how can I communicate what not only I need to do, but what I want
What
in
your
return.
needs are. Yeah.
Exactly.
What you're desiring. 100%.
So I don't think this is something that, I think it's a balance game. And I can only look at it through the lens of high performers, where they're completely out of balance. Like something's working well, and because they're spending too much time over here, or on this one side, then they need to get back over here, right? Because I don't believe balance exists.
Yeah.
I believe it's a balancing act, right? Like there's going to be a little bit of, all right, I got to put some energy over here. Especially when you have kids too. That becomes a whole new game as well, right?
Well, what would you say are the things that we do as a couple that help us stay in that spouse role versus roommate role?
The thing I love, like, there's a lot of topics we talk about that trigger me. One that doesn't is the amount of time we spend together. I feel like we are a unit, and sometimes too codependent, but at other times, at least it's like a foundational base between all of us. Like Lola was gone for a couple of nights. We all missed her. Like the dynamic of our family was incomplete. Right?
Yeah.
And so where focus goes, energy flows. Right? So for a long time, the two areas of, I believe, my life where I've had the most success is in family and business. And go figure, it's where I spend the majority of my time.
Yeah. And do you think that it helps us stay connected, the fact that we work together and spend so much time together? Or at least are in each other's work life in some way, shape, or form?
All right, let's put it this way. You're not the best communicator in the world.
Obviously.
Right? Imagine if we weren't spending as much time together. How would I have any clue what's going on in your brain, especially not being around you to be able to read cues and see how you're acting? You get what I'm saying?
I do. And I feel like we would drift pretty drastically.
Or if I got agitated with the kids or you, and they only saw me in that pissed off state and didn't get to experience the 5-to-1 or 6-to-1 ratio of me loving them and telling them how much I care about them and taking them to these little things, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that's how it happened, but the saying goes, how do kids spell love? Time. I think you could say that about everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like time spent in their presence. I'm talking about presence spent inside of time.
Yeah.
Proximity equals power, your environment, right? Like I remember I took a psychology class and they were like the number one thing needed or successful relationship in a psychology class is proximity. Like if you're not with the person, because if not, a vacuum's going to be created and whoever fills it will end up filling a lot of other things. You know what I mean? Like it's the truth though. No, seriously though.
No, I do. I get
like, would you be happy if I was spending the majority of my time with another woman?
No.
Exactly. And so what's the difference? Like if it's another woman or it's another business or it's a hobby, there needs to be a balance.
Yeah. But you didn't answer my question. So you think that the fact that we spend so much time together is beneficial for us?
I didn't answer that question.
I mean, you did, I guess, but it was a very, very long-winded answer.
Apparently it wasn't long enough. What about you?
I mean, I definitely think it does. I think that, so many people come to us and they're like, oh my God, how could you spend so much time with your husband? Because they know that we work together and that we're together constantly and we're doing this together and we're always doing stuff with our kids. And I think that it would be worse for us if we didn't spend that kind of time together.
We are both alphas. We can create on our own. We don't need each other. It's just obvious. But you're my favorite fucking human in the world. And like, even how you were like dancing around like a complete, I can't even say the name.
Idiot.
Yeah, fine. Me and the older girls were just laughing. I was like, I love this bitch. Like we were laughing. I was like, and Ella was like, what's wrong with her? I'm like, what do you mean what's wrong with her? That's you.
She does the same thing every day.
And you're just dancing in the garage and doing stupid moves. And it was like, you're my person.
Yeah, you're my person too.
And I don't know, maybe we're lucky.
Maybe.
Like I said to them as we were driving out, I was like, I hope to God you guys find and have a relationship like your mother and I have.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, the best decision of my life, the thing I'm most is finding her. And they were like, well, what about us? I was like, there's no you without her.
Yeah, totally.
Right? And so I could say that without feeling vulnerable anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's fair.
I could say that empowered.
You used to not really go there. But even just like last night, I think I like came to you in the bathroom and I was like, man, I just love you. And you were like, what? You know? And you were like, because it kind of shocked your system, because normally I just don't come out and say that all the time. And just hugging you, like really hugging you, it's like, I think those moments are what keeps people's spark alive. Like it's the little tiny things that you do throughout the day. It's catching each other's eye and kind of laughing, or having a grateful moment when you're with your kids, or saying I love you completely out of the blue. Because how many couples say that without just being like on the phone, like, okay, love you, bye,
Well, it's that if you don't have these relationships in your life, then what do you have? You can follow this purpose as much as you want, but if it's not a purpose that's in alignment and flow and with other people, I don't want to do this world alone. God forbid something ever happened to you. You got the call. What's the regret? One of the biggest regret is I should have done everything I wanted to do, and I should have spent more time with the people that I loved. Which, ironically, sometimes those two things fight each other. Right? It's like when you have two values, and then like for some people, like I want to have integrity, but I also want to make a lot of money, right? And then in the money and the integrity gets challenged, you find out which value is really more important to you, right? You can make the money, but you got to sell out.
Yeah.
Or you don't get the money and you don't sell out. Like now we find out. Same thing with this. For me, I want it all. I want to follow my purpose, and part of my purpose is to have not only my family to be integrated into the whole game, but like-minded people to be attracted towards this thing. Do I want to be like, I wasted it doing X, Y, and Z because I didn't have the relationship and put in the time I wanted to with my family?
Yeah.
Well, you tell me, right? Like, so roommates or spouses, like, where do you feel like in our almost 15 years of marriage, do you feel as far as like, are we at the best, the worst, the middle?
Oh, I think we're at the best.
Me too.
Yeah. I think that, like we have waves and we have days. Like even when we do this podcast, sometimes those are our off days where we're like not connected, or I'm thinking one thing, you're thinking another, and we're like, why aren't we aligned? But I think we're by far, like I told the girls just yesterday, I was like, we were talking about happiness, and I was like, I'm the happiest now that I have ever been in my whole life. And I feel like it just continues to grow and build.
So here's the graph, right? Okay. So contentment and happiness in our family and relationship is high, right? And has the amount of time we've spent together gone up or down?
Gone up.
Well, there's your equation. The more we spend time together, the more that we have fulfillment in our relationship and with our family.
Yep. Yeah.
We both spend less time at the office. You're showing up for yourself and you're happy with the horse and being out in nature. Like, so to bring it all the way together, right? Like, this is my point. If you don't want to spend time with your family and you got other things to do to fill the time, then you got to wake up.
Yeah. And there's something missing there.
And that's why I'm like, this is I don't want to come off as not empathetic, or like we have this just really special relationship that other people don't have. But I almost like don't have time, or I'm just frustrated with the common point of, oh, my wife doesn't have sex with me. Oh, my wife doesn't want to talk to me. My kids don't want to. Like, I don't know how you don't know what's exactly going on in your kids' lives. I don't know how you can't spend enough time with them where they don't feel comfortable telling you like their fears and their dreams and whatever. I can't.
Yeah. And you're
that.
talking from like the masculine point of view is what frame.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's stereotypical, but yes.
Yeah.
Like I want to know everything. Like I asked 20 questions. Like, let's go.
Yeah. And it's from the women's standpoint. It's the women that feel like they're doing everything, that they're carrying everything, that they have the weight on their the world on their shoulders.
So I do that with you,
their responsibility.
right? So again, think about the conversations we miss out on if we weren't getting into bed together. Mm-hmm. Think about the impromptu times we would have sex. Think about the shows that we wouldn't watch together. Think about the books we wouldn't be talking to. The times that we pull the oracle cards and we have conversations about what the cards pull up, or you're meditating next to me, or you're laying on that stupid voodoo thing that we have, right? Like,
yeah.
What is it?
The higher dose mat.
The mat.
Yeah.
Right? Like, to me, like, think about how much I would miss out if I wasn't home, if I was out trying to, like, get business and get drinks with people all the time. I mean, I've played that game a little bit.
Yeah, and that's when we were the least happy in our relationship.
And I was unhappy. Mm-hmm. I hated the phoniness of it and the bullshit of it. And like, why do I want to be out drinking with these people? Like, I want my wife out drinking with me, or I want my wife out with me. And then if we're together and we're not connecting to them.
Well, I think it's just being aware and just addressing it, having, like, looking at your life and creating rituals. Like, even our 3-2-1, it's like we stopped doing it. Now we're like, all right, all of us got to get on this bandwagon again, you know? So
let's go through it, right? So for me, if you were like, hey, I want to have my own room, I'd be like, nope, I'll build you a shed outside. Mm-hmm. I don't care. You want an office? Fine. We're sleeping in the same bed.
What happens if you start snoring really badly?
I'd figure out a way to
or I'd wear earplugs.
I would get rid of my snoring. I don't care if I'd have to put on, a football helmet machine to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, I would figure it out.
Okay.
Just like sex is a non-negotiable. Talking, colliding, all of these things.
Yep.
Like, to me, the game never ends. Like, I haven't done the vacations as good as I wanted to in our marriage. I'm still hunting that down to get it right. I'm trying to figure out how to give you your dream that I want to be a part of with this ranch. Mm-hmm. I get just as excited as making these things come true. Like, to me, if you're drifting away, then your priorities are going in a different direction.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that shit together real quick, there's going to be a problem. Because soon it's like, it's okay to sleep in different rooms. It's okay not to go on date nights. It's okay not to have sex. It's okay to split finances. It's okay to go on vacations apart while not going on vacations together. Caveat, right? It's okay to spend more time with my friends.
Yep.
Because then once the kids are out, what do you have left?
Yeah.
So yes, that's why I'm so fun at parties or dinners, because I'd be like, is that really a good thing? Explain to me how that works. When was the last time you have sex? And I'm asking the questions that you're like, who the fuck are you? And I got people justifying. And then
I know.
they're like,
I'm going to put together a little quiz that we're going to send to our watchers.
I mean, think about this. Imagine we have one more bedroom on this hallway, right? And I was like, good night, babe. Like, that'd be the weirdest thing in the world.
That would be weird.
Right? Next thing you know, you're sleeping with some of the kids, right? And listen, I understand it's unique for every person, especially if you have, like, there are exceptions to everything. Like, you have, like, a horrible health condition. I'm not talking about snoring. I'm talking about, like, something really bad. Like, I can understand that, right?
Yeah. That
makes sense. I could even understand to a degree if one person works, like, graveyard and things like that. Again, this isn't 100%. You got to be willing to first identify that there's a problem and then have the hard conversation. I would say something like, hey, baby, I feel like we're drifting apart. I feel like we're not communicating well. We're not sleeping together enough. We're not going on date night. And I feel like I have not stepped up in my role enough as a man to make it better for us. So I just want you to know that I'm acknowledging that we're drifting and I don't like it. That you mean everything in the world to me, and I'm going to put more effort on my end. I'd love for you to meet me there and do whatever you got to do, but I am not here to point blame. This is what is important to me, and here's what I'm going to do. And then I'd build your trust, because I can't rely on you doing it. I can only rely and control on what I'm going to do. And then most likely, I would say 99 out of 100 times, if you're willing to marry this human being and have kids with them and share finances, almost 99% of the time, they're going to meet you there.
Yeah, or not share finances. They still might be willing to meet you there.
Whatever. Right? And so that's how I would start it. And those are the ways I would start showing up.
Yeah.
And not just for the other person, for yourself as well, because that'll be an attraction thing. But I'd start with me. I would take care of what I need to take care of for me. And then I'd also show up for you.
Yeah.
And by
sit
showing
down
up,
and actually come up with a plan together.
Exactly. But if you're not willing to have those tough conversations, you're fucking dead on arrival. And it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's going to get harder and harder.
And that spouse is going to continue to just build resentment.
The takeaway is this. If you feel like the drift is coming and the signs are there, communication, intimacy, time spent, different rooms, making out, and it's only about the kids, and it's only because of that or finances, it's time to collide. And be willing to be like, you know what? I'd rather rip the Band-Aid off now, have the hard conversation, potentially hear what I don't want to hear, and it end right now, than waste another 5 or 10 years and then figuring it out.
And become numb to the relationship.
Risk it all now to have the relationship you want.